Hello, you are welcome to our lecture on chordates. Today's lecture will be on the internal anatomy and physiology of Pisces. We have discussed earlier about the Pisces, that Pisces are basically the fish and fish-like vertebrates. It is a conventional name. The word Pisces is a conventional name that's used to refer to the fish and fish-like vertebrates and the phylum Chordata and subphylum Vertebrata. And we have also established that the Pisces belong to the classes Myxini, which consists of the hagfishes, the class Cephalaspidomorphi, which consists of the lampreys, the class Chondrichthyes that have the sharks and rays and skates, the class Sarcopterygii, the lobe-finned fishes, and the class Actinopterygii, the ray-finned fishes. So today's lecture will be on the gross internal anatomy and physiology of the Pisces, the gross internal anatomy and physiology of the Pisces. The first internal anatomical feature we want to look at is the skeletal system of the Pisces. The skeleton of Pisces are divided into external and internal skeletons. So the Pisces have external skeleton, and they also have internal skeletons. Now I want to look at the external skeletons of the Pisces. Scales and bony scale plates in the skin, fin rays, and connective tissues that toughen the skin and joins it to underlying musculature, bone, and cartilages make up the external skeletal system of the Pisces. So the external skeletal system consists of scales or bony scale plates that are on the surface of the skin of the fish, and fin rays. These fin rays that are outside at the lower left-hand corner, you see these fin rays that are outside. They form part of this external skeletal system of the fish, and the scales on the surface of the skin serve as external skeleton of the fish, and the underlying musculature, bone, and cartilage. Now I want to look at the internal anatomical features, these internal skeletal features. The internal skeleton of the Pisces consists of the skull bones, the vertebral column, and the fin supports or the fin rays. The internal skeleton of the fish consists of the skull bones, the vertebral column, and the fin supports or the fin rays, the ones that are the bottom of the that are inside that supports the external fin rays. The endoskeleton of fish consists of parts, namely the axial and appendicular skeleton. Okay, the endoskeleton, just as it is in other vertebrates, is divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton of the fish is composed of the skull, the vertebral column, the ribs, and intermuscular bones. Okay, the axial skeleton consists of the skull, the vertebral column, the ribs, and the intermuscular bones. Okay, the skull of the fish, then the vertebral column, the ribs. The intermuscular bones are those small bones that are in the flesh of the fish. Now, while the appendicular skeleton mainly consists of the dorsal, anal, caudal, and pectoral fin support. The dorsal, anal, caudal, and pectoral fin support. The bones that support the external fin rays are referred to as the fin supports. Structurally, The vertebrae of fishes are less complex than those of land mammal, land vertebrates. Why is that so? Typically, articulation is effected by simple apposition of the central rather than through complicated interdigitating processes. This is due to the support that water offers to the body mass of fishes in contrast to the absence of support in contrast to the absence and support that's rendered by the skeleton, okay, in land animals. Now, this is the skeleton of a bony fish, the skeleton of a bony fish. Now, in this skeletal system, you'll see the external skeletal structures and the internal skeletal structures. The external skeleton, like we said, consists of scales, though the scales cannot be seen in this figure. The scales that are found on the skins of the fish that we usually remove when we want to prepare the fish for cooking. Then the scale plates and the fin supports, the fin rays are also part of the external skeleton. Here we have the ray of the anterior dorsal fin. These are the fin rays, okay? Then we also have the ray of the posterior dorsal fin. These fin rays are part of the external skeleton. They are outside the body. We also have the caudal ray fins, okay? Fin ray, the caudal fin ray. It is also part of the external skeleton. Then the anal fin rays, the caudal fin, the pectoral fin ray, and the pelvic fin ray. These are part of the external skeleton. While the internal skeleton consists of the skull bones, the vertebral column, and the fin supports. These bones that are here that support the fins outside are also part of the internal skeleton. And they are also intermuscular bones that are part of the internal skeleton. Like we said, the internal skeleton is divided into the axial and appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton consists of the skull bones or the skull, the vertebrae, that's the backbone, and the ribs, the bones in the rib, as well as intermuscular bones. While the appendicular skeleton consists of the fin supports that are outside, and basically the fin supports make up the internal skeleton. Now here is the skeleton of a cartilaginous fish, a shark. Okay, just as it is with the bony fish, the shark also have similar skeletal system. But the skeleton of the cartilaginous fish is made up of cartilage rather than bone. That's one very important distinctive feature. The skeleton is made up of cartilage rather than bone. Now I want to look at the muscular system. The body musculature is usually arranged in two rows of chevron-shaped segments in each side. Fishes, like other vertebrates, have three major kinds of muscles. The three major kinds of muscles are the smooth muscles, the cardiac muscles, and the skeletal muscles. The smooth muscles are largely the voluntary muscles of the gut. The voluntary muscles of the digestive system are referred to as the smooth muscles, while the cardiac muscles are the heart muscles, the muscles of the heart. And the skeletal muscles are the striated muscles, the bulk of the fish, other than the skeleton. The entire flesh of the fish is known as the skeletal muscles. Now here is a figure that's showing the skeletal muscles of the fish. These are the skeletal muscles of the fish. The smooth muscles are inside, they are in the digestive tract. The cardiac muscles are in the heart, the ones that make up the heart. The next part we want to look at, the next the next internal anatomical and physiological feature of the fish we want to look at is the digestive system. The digestive system of fish consists of the mouth, the throat or esophagus, the stomach, intestines, anus, and other accessory organs such as the liver and pancreas. So the major organs are the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the intestines, the anus, the liver, and the pancreas. Now I want to make progress to look at how the fish feed and how the kind of diet affects their mouth structure and also the pattern of teeth and how digestion takes place. The digestive system, in a functional sense, starts at the mouth, with the teeth used to capture prey or collect plant foods. Mouth shape and tooth structure vary greatly in fishes depending on the kind of food normally eaten. Now I want to look at the process of how the food goes and how it's been digested. Once reaching the throat, food enters a short, often greatly distensible esophagus, a simple tube with a muscular wall leading into the stomach. Most fishes are predaceous, feeding on small invertebrates or other fishes, and have simple conical teeth on the jaws, on at least some of the bones of the roof of the mouth, and on special gill arcs structures just in front of the esophagus. The latter are called the throat teeth. The ones that the teeth structures are found on the gills are said to be throat teeth. Most predaceous fishes swallow their prey whole, and the teeth are used for grasping and holding prey, for orienting prey to be swallowed. When they swallow the fish, usually the head goes in first, and for walking the prey towards the esophagus. Now look at what happens in the stomach and how the stomach of the fish varies greatly. Now, the stomach varies greatly in fishes depending upon the diet. In most predaceous fish, it is a simple straight or curved tube, or a pouch with a muscular wall and a glandular lining. Food is largely digested here and leaves the stomach in liquid form. The food is digested in the stomach and leaves the stomach in liquid form. Between the stomach and the intestine, ducts enter the digestive tube from the liver and the pancreas. Okay, after the food has been digested, the food now moves from the stomach towards the intestines, and ducts enter between the stomach and the intestines from the liver and the pancreas. The junction between the stomach and the intestine is marked by a muscular valve. Polaric ceca, which are blind sacs, occur in some fishes at this juncture and have a digestive or an absorptive function, or both. It has both digestive or an absorptive function, or both in some fishes. The intestine of the fish is primarily an organ for absorbing nutrients into the bloodstream. Once the food is being digested in the intestine, so in the stomach, the digested food is being absorbed in the intestine, just as it is in mammals and other vertebrates, including birds. Undigested substances are passed to the anterior through the anus in most teleost fishes. In lungfishes, sharks, and rays, it is first passed through the cloaca, a common cavity receiving the intestinal opening, and the ducts from the urogenital system. Now here is the digestive system of the fish, the internal anatomy of the fish that's showing the digestive system. The fish swallows the food. The food is being directed to the throat, and then it passes through the esophagus into the stomach, and digestion takes place in the stomach. Now here is the polaric ceca, okay, where the substances are received from the pancreas and the liver. The emulsification of fats and others take place at this polaric ceca. Okay. Now, after this, the food now moves to the intestine where absorption takes place, and undigested food substances are voided out or expelled, they are defecated out through the anus. Now, this is not a carnivorous fish. Now, in carnivorous fish like the shark, the digestive system is less complex. It just as it, unlike that of the omnivorous or herbivorous fishes. Food goes in through the mouth and passes to the intestine, and after absorption, the undigested food substances are passed out or defecated through the anus or cloaca. I want to look at the respiratory system of the fish. Respiratory system. The fish, as we know, they respire with the gills. The gills are the major main respiratory organs of the fish, except in some fishes like the African lungfish, that's called Protopterus and nectans, that uses lungs, and a few other species. Virtually all Pisces or fishes make use of gills. The water taken in continuously, the water is usually taken in continuously through the mouth, and it passes backward between the gill bars and over the gill filaments, where the exchange of gases take place. So when the water is taken in, the oxygen, the dissolved oxygen, is absorbed in the gills. The gills are protected by gill cover in teleosts and many other fishes, but by flaps of skin in sharks and rays. The blood capillaries and the gill filaments are close to the gill surface to take up oxygen from the water and to give up excess carbon dioxide to the water. So when the fish takes in water, when it opens its mouth, it draws in water. When it closes its mouth, water is forced out through the opercular opening. And as the water is passing through that opercular opening, the oxygen, dissolved oxygen, diffuses into the capillaries of the gills, while carbon dioxide is expelled or released to the water. Fishes such as lungfishes, Lepidosiren and Protopterus respire through the lungs. The African lungfish, like Protopterus and nectans, basically breathe through the lungs, not the gills. In that case, they breathe in, they have to come out to breathe air and go in. Whenever they want to breathe again, they come and take a gulp, they breathe and go inside. But for virtually every other fish, the respiration is basically through the gills. Now here is a picture that's showing the gill structure of a fish, the gills of a fish. These are the gill arches, and these gill rakers. The gill rakers also serve as the aid also in feeding and directing fish or in food or preventing food from escaping. And they support also the gill filaments. Now here also this concave shape is the gill arc, okay, which supports the gill filaments. Actually, gaseous exchange takes place in this gill filaments. Oxygen diffuses into the bloodstream while carbon dioxide is diffused out. Now look at the mechanism of respiration in fish. When the fish opens its mouth, water goes in, and when it closes its mouth, when the fish closes its mouth, the water is voided out of the water is voided out, and carbon dioxide is passed out and oxygen diffuses into the fish. Now, the circulatory system of the fish. The circulatory or blood vascular system consists of the heart, the arteries, the capillaries, and the veins. The circulatory system consists of the heart, the arteries, the capillaries, and the vein. Most fishes possess a two-chambered heart. The circulation of fishes thus differs from that of reptiles, birds, and mammals, and that oxygenated blood is not returned to the heart prior to distribution to the other parts of the body. The oxygenated blood is not returned back to the other parts of the body. So we want to now look at this, how blood is being circulated. Now the blood is being circulated. Let us look at how the blood is being circulated in the fish. Now, here, the blood is being pumped by the ventricle down to, deoxygenated blood returns to the heart through the atrium and is pumped to the gills by the ventricle through the artery. And then the blood is oxygenated in the gills. And from the gills, it's been pumped to the rest of the body. The oxygen is pumped to the rest of the body and dissolved oxygen returns back. So the blood flows in a single loop. So this is the coronary circulation. It says gill circulation, and we have the systemic circulation. So we have three circulations in the fish: coronary, the circulation of blood in the heart, gill circulation, as well as the systemic circulation. Here's another picture that's showing how blood is being circulated. Just as we have seen earlier, deoxygenated blood returns to the heart. The heart of the fish is two-chambered. You have the atrium and the ventricle. The deoxygenated blood returns from the rest of the body to the atrium and then into the ventricle, and the blood is pumped to the gills to receive oxygen and also expel carbon dioxide through the gills. Once the blood is being oxygenated, it continues to flow into the rest of the body, and the oxygen is being used up in cellular respiration in a process known as oxidative metabolism. And once used up, the blood returns. When the oxygen is used up, the blood returns back to the heart for continuous movement. So that's the circulation of blood in the fish. Now I want to look at the excretory system of the Pisces, excretion in Pisces. The primary excretory organ in fish, as in other vertebrates, is the kidney. In fishes, some excretion also takes place in the digestive tract, skin, and especially the gills, where ammonia is given off. I want to look at how the fish carry out homeostasis. Proper balance of the internal environment or homeostasis of a fish is in a great part maintained by the excretory system, especially the kidney. The kidney, gills, and skin play an important role in maintaining a fish's internal environment and checking the effects of osmosis. Osmosis tends to promote the loss of water from the body of marine fishes and absorption of water by that of a freshwater fish. Now, this is a figure that's showing internal anatomy of the figure of the fish that's showing the excretory organs of the fish. The gills, the ureter, the skin, the urinary bladder, the urinogenital opening, and the anus are all parts of the excretory system, as well as the most important organ, the kidney, which are responsible for excretion. Osmosis tend to promote the loss of water from the body of marine fish and absorption of water by that of freshwater. Mucus in the skin tends to slow the process, but is not a sufficient barrier to prevent the movement of fluids through the permeable skin. The kidney of freshwater fishes is often larger in relation to the body weight than the marine fishes. The kidney is usually larger in freshwater fishes. Now, here is how osmoregulation takes place in freshwater fish. Okay. Now, here is uptake of water and some ions. The fish takes in water and ion, and also takes in salts ions by the gills. Then osmotic water gain through gills and other parts of the body surface. Now, water intake increases in freshwater Pisces than that of the saltwater Pisces, the saltwater fishes. The only way water is given out is through excretion of large amounts of water and dilute urine from the kidneys. That's because the more water gets in, because the internal concentration of solutes in the fish is higher than that of the outside. So there's movement of substances from lower concentration to higher concentration. But in marine fishes or in saltwater fishes, the fish tend to lose more water than it is when it takes in water. The fish takes in water through the mouth by drinking salt water. Okay, but it loses a lot more. It loses water through gills and other parts of the body surface. It also loses water. It excretes salt ions from the gills, and it also excretes salt ions and small amounts of water and scanty urine from the kidney. So the marine fishes excrete less water compared to the freshwater fishes in order to conserve water within them. They excrete less water from the kidney, from the urinary system than it is in freshwater fishes. I want to look at endocrine glands. Although the endocrine system in fishes is similar to that of higher vertebrates, there are numerous differences in detail. Now, look at the features we want to look at. The endocrine glands of fishes are pituitary glands, thyroid glands, suprarenal glands, adrenal glands, pancreatic islets, sex glands, which are the ovaries and the testes, the inner wall of the intestine, and the ultimobranchial bodies. These are the various endocrine glands in fishes. Many of these activities also are controlled in part by the central nervous system, which works with the endocrine system in maintaining the life of the fish. Now, here are the endocrine glands, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the pineal body, or the pineal, the chromatin tissue, the corpus timus, the europhysis, the gonads, which contains the male and female reproductive organs, the intestinal mucosa, the pancreatic islets, and the ultimobranchial body, as well as the thyroid gland. The nervous system, the nervous and sensory system of fish. As in all vertebrates, the nervous system of fishes is the primary mechanism coordinating body activities, as well as integrating these activities in appropriate manner with stimuli from the environment. The central nervous system, the brain, and the spinal cord are the primary integrating mechanisms in the fish. The peripheral nervous system, consisting of nerves that connect the brain and spinal cord to various body organs, carries sensory information from special receptor organs such as the eyes, internal ears, ears, taste glands, and other to the integrating centers of the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system also carries information via different nerve cells from the integrating centers of the brain and spinal cord. The brain of the fish is divided into several anatomical and functional parts which are all closely interconnected by each serving as the primary center of integrating particular kinds of responses and activities. Now, here is the nervous system of the fish, and the nervous system of the fish. The brain has the olfactory lobe that's responsible for smell. That's the cerebrum, the optic lobe, the pituitary, and the cerebellum. The reproduction in fish. The methods of reproduction in fishes are varied, but most fishes lay a large number of small eggs fertilized and scattered outside of the body. That's the carry out external fertilization. Some fishes are hermaphroditic, and hermaphroditic fish basically refers to a fish that produces both sperm and eggs, usually at different stages in its life. Self-fertilization, however, is probably rare in the fishes. Now, here is the internal anatomy of the fish that's showing the reproductive organs, the ovary and the genital opening. Now, fishes, like we said, carry out external fertilization. The male and the female swim together, and while the male releases sperm, the female releases the eggs that are fertilized externally by the sperm. And then the embryo develops within the egg and hatched as a fingerling. Thanks for watching. Watch out for more videos from this series. Thank you.